Hey everyone! All right, so I'm on a new operating system. Well, it's still Mac OS, but I'm on Mojave, or however you say that. And so far, everything's been working pretty well. Hopefully, it doesn't mess up a bunch of things. Um, yeah, so today I thought I'd show you an example of how to test a component that uses React.lazy and Suspense. Yeah, we can talk about that. So I'm using this React testing library examples. Actually, if we go git browse, which actually won't work unless you're using a tool, which you're going to ask me about in the comments. So I may as well show you github.com/github/hub. I use this tool. I get it from Homebrew, and it's fantastic. I love it. But that'll give me git browse, which is pretty neat. So yeah, this is the repo. There's actually a code sandbox. The whole idea is just a bunch of examples of how to do different things with React testing library. And one of those things I'm going to add right now is React.lazy. So what we're going to do is in this project we have local tests and then the regular tests. The reason for that is because Code Sandbox actually can't run the certain jest features, and so we try to put as many of things in tests as we can because that'll run both locally and in Code Sandbox. But if it's using features that Code Sandbox can't, like jest.mock, then then we just do it in local tests. So anyway, we can do a regular test. This will actually run in the browser, I think. So we'll say React lazy and suspense.js. So you might notice I'm not using Vim mode anymore. I'm going to give that a try. We'll see if that makes my life any better. Okay, so we're going to import React from React, of course, and let's make our app, yeah, sure, doesn't really matter. And we'll return home, and we'll make, oh, you know what, we're going to have a lazy thing, so we'll say home, or lazy component.js. There we go. Then we'll get our lazy component is React.lazy. Oh, we might actually have a problem here. We'll see. I don't know if our Babel configuration will work with dynamic imports, but we'll see. Okay, so we're going to do a dynamic import and lazy component. So lazy component is going to need to export default. We'll just do I am lazy. Sure, we'll put that in a div just so we can, I don't know, do React stuff. So we'll import React from React so we can use JSX. And sweet, now we have our lazy component. And let's see, we're going to do, I'm going to start by pretending this is just some component. Yeah, like main, I don't know, foobar, I don't care. So actually, you know what? No, we'll just do this. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this is a component somewhere down farther in our tree. So we're not going to put a suspense right here. We're going to kind of leave the suspense up higher, or assume that it's somewhere up higher in our app, because this is definitely something that you will probably run into. The idea behind suspense is that you don't put suspense around every single component that you are going to be lazy loading, or when we get data fetching with suspense, you're not going to be putting it right around the things that are doing the data fetching. That kind of defeats a lot of the purpose of suspense. And so generally you'll want to have few suspense components in your app. So here we're going to make a test that renders lazy, and then we'll bring in render from React testing library, and we'll render main, and that'll get us, well, I don't know what it'll get us. Let's see. Debug. We'll just pull out debug and then call debug. All right, sweet. And actually what we'll do is we'll do a div here. We'll put it there. Lazy. We'll do another div. Lazy loaded component is here. Okay, sweet. So then we'll pull up our tests. We'll run those. I have an alias nrt. Oh, you know what? I don't want to run them all. We're going to run npm run test. Watch. nrt will run npm run test for me. So I could do nrt -- watch. Okay, anyway, so we're getting an error here, suspense fallback. You need a suspense with a fallback UI, and that is why this is breaking. So unless you're going to be rendering your app component, which is going to be rendering the suspense and stuff, if you're going to need to deal with this in your tests. So you've got a you've got a component that uses a React.lazy, or in the future we're doing data fetching or whatever, and that's not rendering suspense because like you typically want to have one of those higher up in the tree. So this is one way you can solve that with React.suspense. And I don't like that VS Code does that. I got to figure out a better workflow there. But then we also need to have a fallback. Test loading. Yeah, test fallback. I don't care. Sweet. So then it goes, and sometimes console log gets like all tripped up, especially in VS Code. And when my screen is small, and it's kind of annoying. There we go. So sweet. This is what we've got. We've got our div style display none. Huh, that's interesting. I don't know why that is doing that. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. If anybody knows, let me know. That's very odd. Maybe that has something to do with suspense. I don't know. Huh, kind of weird. But yeah, anyway, yeah, test loading is our fallback. So we've got that fallback is being rendered, but we want to make assertions about the lazy component that's rendered. We want to find the text I am lazy. So let's go back here, and I'm going to add my assertion first. We'll move this back over. Whoop. We'll get rid of this thing. So let's do get by text, and we'll say get by text I am lazy, ignore case, whatever. Yeah, we'll expect that, to be in the document. This assertion right here is actually kind of pointless, because if it can't find an element with that text, it's going to throw an error, and the error will look very nice. But I like the way that this code looks, and so I do an assertion there anyway. But just a fun little tidbit for you. Okay, so audio is not good. Uh-oh. Sorry, I just barely saw Adam said the audio's not. Oh, audio good. Oh, whew. Okay. I thought it said not good for some reason. Okay. Show. Thanks for posting that. Looks like it's suspense adding the display none. Here, let me pull that over. So Adam Snodgrass is sharing some interesting stuff. So yeah, they've got a test in here to verify that the style display is set to none when using suspense. Kind of interesting. I wonder why they do that. I guess they don't want to show it. Let's see. Hides and unhides timed out DOM elements. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, cool. So, sweet. Now, if I save this, it's going to run again, and we're going to get an unable to find an element with the text. And this is why I say that this assertion right here is not useful, because this is actually going to throw an error right away. That's this error that we're seeing, and it's a really nice error message. So like I said, I just like the way this looks, so I do it that way. But yeah, so we can't find that text. Oh no, it's because our suspense, or our suspended lazy component has not resolved yet. And so this import hasn't finished, it hasn't re-rendered, yada, yada, yada. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull in wait from React testing library, and we're going to make this an async test, so I can, oh, wait. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do this. Oh, rats. I need to import, see, just DOM extend expect. And I also need to pull in cleanup from before or after each cleanup. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, those of you familiar with React testing library, why don't I do React testing library cleanup after each? and then I wouldn't need to bring in the cleanup and add the after each. Unfortunately, for some reason, Code Sandbox doesn't like this, and yeah, it doesn't work, so I have to do it this way. But Code Sandbox is fine with that, so great. Extend expect will give us to be in the document, and now our test is passing. Yay! So in high-level review, you've got a component that is rendering a React.lazy component. The way that you test this is with React Testing Library, you do render. You render a suspense around that component. That fallback can be anything. It doesn't really matter. And then you wait for the import to be resolved. And then you can do all your expectations and stuff. So it's kind of annoying that you have to wait, but like, really, this is the user experience that we have here. So if you wanted to verify that the fallback was loading or whatever, then you could do that, which is nice. Yeah, so there's also another thing that, or another way we could do this is like what this is doing right here is it's saying just wait till the next tick of the event loop. And because of the way that everything's implemented, that works fine, because this import is going to just happen on the next tick of the event loop anyway. But if it wasn't, and maybe it took a couple seconds or milliseconds or whatever, then what we could do is provide a callback. And as soon as that callback does not throw an error, it will continue on. The promise will resolve. So we could put it in there too. But I don't like doing that. I think it looks weird. So I just like saying wait. Another thing we could do is actually, this is arguably better, wait for element. And we could say wait for element, and then do this get by text, and then get our lazy element, and then do that expectation, or interact with it, or whatever you want to do. So that's probably arguably better. The reason that wait for element is better is because it will do set up a mutation observer, which means it won't like the wait function will actually poll every 40 milliseconds or something to say, hey, is this is my callback throwing an error? Is it throwing? Is it throwing? Is it throwing? And once it stops throwing, then it resolves the promise. Wait for element will actually attach a mutation observer to the document, and it will just wait until a change is made to the document. Then it'll call the callback again and check. And if it throws an error, then it'll wait till the next mutation. And so it's not polling every 40 milliseconds. It's more just waiting for an event to fire. So that's arguably better. It means that, like, let's say that this thing took 60 milliseconds, so we're checking every 40 milliseconds. With the wait, you'd check the first 40 milliseconds. Oh, it's still not there. Wait for another 40 milliseconds. Oh, it's there now, but we're 20 milliseconds late. Whereas with this, it doesn't check until that mutation happens at 60 milliseconds. So it's 20 milliseconds faster in that case. So yeah, like it doesn't make a huge difference. What I care mostly about is what I'm looking at. And so if, yeah, I'm going to leave it this way so as an example for people, but yeah, that's just something to think about. So I'm going to add a function called app here, and this is going to do here. Let's add a. This is how you test a component that needs suspense. A suspense component. Just render it with your own suspense. For this one though, we're going to render main, but whoops, we're going to render that with our own React.suspense. And we'll pull that up and move that over and have a fallback loading. And then we'll have another test here for app renders lazy component, or app renders stuff. Hooray! Okay, so we know we need this to be async, and then we'll do. Actually, we'll basically do all the same stuff here, but we'll do it slightly differently. So instead of rendering main, we're going to render app, and we don't need our own suspense. We can just render that as is. Cool, right? But yeah, everything else should work just the same. So this is how you render a component that has its own suspense. Oops. No need. Whoops. No need to render our own suspense in the test. That's pretty much it. So like fundamentally, a component that is leveraging React.lazy or in the future React Cache needs to have suspense around it. And so if the component you're testing is not using the React suspense, then you're going to have to use that in your test, which is fine. But if the component that you're rendering is, then you don't have to do that, which is also fine. And then you will have to do some waiting for that component to, or for that React.lazy component to actually load. And so we have this await. Yeah, if you're doing data fetching, then you're going to want to mock out the data fetching call, and the test will look similar. Actually, let me just show you. Let's see, modern React. Yeah. So I've got this modern React thing, and in here I have this fetch Pokemon function. That's an async function. We're making calls out into a GraphQL API. And in here, I'm playing around with React Suspense with data loading with React Cache. It's kind of weird and probably going to break, so please don't rely on this. But it is pretty awesome. I love this. So as far as testing this is concerned, if we look at the tests, and I'm pretty sure testing is not going to change because I don't test implementation details. So what we're doing here is we're mocking that fetch Pokemon, and we just return mock data. It doesn't really matter. And then we click on the thing. We expect that our mock was called. We clear it out after it was called because we've already made our assertions on it. And then we're going to wait. And I should probably do the wait for element here, but like the same thing applies. We just wait for this thing to no longer throw. And yeah, I should have made an assertion right here probably, but oh wait, no, I do. That's the assertion. Yeah, see, this is why I use expect, because I think it reads more like, oh, this is an assertion. But anyway, yeah, so the testing story works fine. I think there's a problem with the error case. I'm not sure exactly why this wasn't working. So there's still edge cases there. But the idea is that when you're using suspense, whether it's data fetching or React.lazy, all you really need to do is use React testing libraries wait or wait for element utilities, and then you can continue on your merry way. If it is data fetching, then you are going to want to have some sort of mock in place so that you don't actually make HTTP calls. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I will push this up, git add, boom, commit, all the things with suspense plus React.lazy example, and we'll push that. And then you can go play with that, whatever. It's React testing library examples on my GitHub. And let me just check any questions and I'll wrap things up. What is wait actually doing? Does it make sense to wrap get by text and other helpers in a wait for element? Thumbs up. Okay, so I think I explained that question or answered that question of what wait is actually doing. So hopefully that helps. Yeah, and actually a note on that. So Alex, I don't know his last name. I've seen it and I never really pronounced it in my head, so I can't say it right now. But he's done a silly amount of work on DOM testing library and React testing library. Big thanks to him. But he really wanted me to add more variants to these queries. So for all the queries we have get by, query by, get all by, query all by. He wanted me to add a find. So find all by, find by and find all by. Which would be an asynchronous version. So it would basically be wait for element. I think something like that. It would just be a wrapper around wait for element. It would basically be this. But it would be something like, I don't know, const lazy element equals await find all by, or by text. Yeah, this is what it would look like. Now I look at that, it's kind of cool. Maybe I will add this. I just didn't want to have so many ways to do the same thing. But the nice thing about this is that then you don't have to do stuff like this. And you can also kind of take a step back from implementation details of when things are getting rendered, which is kind of a nice thing too. Maybe I'll add that. I don't know. If you want me to add that, then file an issue and we can talk about it some more. But yeah, then you don't have to worry about whether or not things are rendering synchronously, which is kind of neat, I guess. Okay, sweet. I'm going to jump out. I hope that was fun. We will see you all next time. And yeah, bye.